Before we begin this podcast, please be advised that the following episode contains language that some listeners may find offensive and inappropriate. The opinions expressed by the host and guests are their own and do not reflect the views of the podcast producers. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome back to Voices of a Killer. When we last left off, Anthony had racked up 3 DUIs and developed a burgeoning meth addiction. Cut to late November 2020, and this habit of reckless driving would have fatal consequences. What exactly happened on the day of Anthony's crime? We'll find out on this episode of Voices of a Killer.
So what age were you whenever you got in the bad wreck that put you in prison?
I would have been 27 or just turned 28, I think.
So around 27, 28, the day that your wreck occurred, what time of day did it happen?
1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I think.
Were you up from the night before, or did you go to bed that night?
No, I'd gone to bed that night.
What time did you wake up that day?
Probably about 6 to go to work.
What were you doing? What kind of work were you doing?
Tree work.
You were working for like tree trimming and stuff?
Yeah, I'm a climber.
Did you drink on the job with that one too?
No.
You didn't?
No, my boss would not allow that.
What about a little bit of meth here and there?
I'd do some in the morning before I went to work, and I'd just have to either sneak it in the truck on lunch break or...
Did you do a little bit before that day, before you went in?
Early that morning, yeah.
How did you do it? Smoked it or shot it or what?
Smoked it.
Whenever you went to work, how was your work that day?
Well, that day was easy. I picked up a kid and then went to my boss's house. We were getting some maintenance done on some of the saws, and I was replacing the transmission on one of the work trucks.
So you're just doing a couple of odd things for the work at the beginning of the day?
Yeah.
And where were you headed whenever you got in this wreck?
I was coming back from the parts store.
So you were actually still on the job working?
Yeah. I took my lunch break and ran to pick up parts for the truck and was on the way back to my boss's house.
So you went and got some parts for the job, like on your lunch break, and you're headed back. Where are you, or what town are you in?
I was in Robertsville or Lawndale, which is just outside Pacific.
Yeah. And was it accurate they said you were traveling on Highway HH?
Yeah.
How fast were you going?
50 to 65 mile an hour, somewhere around there.
And what's supposed to be the speed limit there?
55 or 60.
So you really weren't speeding that much, if at all. Had you ever had any drinks yet that day?
No,
Not one drop?
Nope, not that day.
Yeah, all the drinking that you done, this was the day that you didn't happen to drink, but you said you did do a little bit of meth that morning. Did you feel like you were pretty intoxicated, or you were just high on meth a little bit?
No, I felt good. Felt even keel.
Yeah. Did you have any passengers with you?
No.
So you're driving down HH, you're not really speeding, and is it a 2-lane highway? It's just one way, and one way the other?
Yeah, just a little 2-lane backcountry kind of road.
And how did you feel that day, just in general?
I felt pretty good. I was excited. It was going to be an easy day. My boss had just given me more responsibility at work. I'm feeling pretty good, just in general.
So whenever you're driving, do you normally wear your seatbelt?
No.
You never wear it?
Very rarely.
And were you wearing it that day?
No, I was not.
So you're traveling up to the speeds of around 65 plus, and is it accurate, like they say, you actually crossed over the center line?
Yeah.
And what would cause you to be distracted? You said you almost you did drop a cigarette?
I dropped the cigarette. I was smoking.
Was it already lit, or you were trying to light it?
It was lit.
Where did you drop it? On the over the passenger side, or just beside you? Where did it fall?
Just on the floorboard there, in between the dash and the seats. Like I was messing with the radio and dropped it right there.
Yeah. What kind of vehicle?
On the floorboard.
What kind of vehicle? A F-250 truck is what it is?
Yeah, 2002 F-250 diesel.
Which is actually a pretty big, hefty-sized truck. So, how far do you feel like you went over into the other lane? A half a vehicle, or?
I don't remember much. I only think it was half maybe half, and looking at from like the accident report, it only looks like maybe half the truck.
Whenever you looked up from grabbing your cigarette, how far from the time, or did you get to look up and say, oh shit, or did it just smack it while you were looking for it?
No, right after I looked up, I had a little bit of time to jerk the wheel and hit the brakes.
Okay.
And then we hit.
Did you get to see that person's face as you went to approach him head on?
No, not before the accident. I did after.
So you didn't really see his face. When you jerked, I guess when you jerked and y'all hit each other, what is the first thing your vehicle did? Did it get hit over to the other side of the embankment? What happened to the vehicle?
After we hit, my vehicle went down off to the right side of the road, and I hit some trees off the side of the road. And
you weren't wearing a seatbelt. Did that older 2002 Ford F-250 have an airbag?
It did, but they didn't deploy.
Wow, so you actually smacked the steering wheel?
Yeah.
That had to have really been painful. What kind of injuries did you suffer from?
I broke a couple bones in my hand, and I had some cuts on my face, and then just some bruising.
Highway HH, where the collision took place, is not the high-traffic road you might expect. It's a narrow, two-lane state highway, thickly lined with trees, that twists through a rural stretch of Missouri. All it took, going down this winding road, was one momentary lapse of attention for Anthony to lose control of his truck. As he dug around for a dropped cigarette, the pickup truck swerved out of its lane and smacked straight into an oncoming Ford Fiesta. Both vehicles ricocheted off the road and into the trees, the Fiesta into a low-lying ditch. Not wearing a seatbelt or braced by an airbag, Anthony was lucky to make it out of the crash with only some minor injuries. The small Ford Fiesta, on the other hand, was wrecked. You might notice that as Anthony recounts the crash, his memory of that day is perfectly clear. He can recall everything, from the parts he'd collected that day for his boss to his feeling of excitement as he drove southbound. This clarity is an indication that, in spite of the meth he took that morning, Anthony was relatively sober. The car crash might have been caused by distracted driving, but it was not the result of intoxication. In the years before, Anthony had a well-established history of drinking and driving, but for once, in a twist of fate, the one time that Anthony did not drink and drive would be the time his driving would have the deepest consequences. After the break, Anthony sees an image that will haunt him forever.
When your vehicle finally came to a rest, had anybody approached you, or did you get out already?
No one approached me. I got out of the truck.
Was there any other vehicles around that witnessed it?
Yeah, there was a car behind Daniel's car that was off into the ditch up there on the road.
So whenever you did, were you able to get out of the vehicle?
Yeah, I got out of the truck and ran up to his car.
So you were actually still able to be mobile?
Yeah, I was a little like shell shocked. I was like dazed.
Sure. So whenever you went over to his vehicle, was it turned up right, or was it on its side? Was it upside down? What did it look like?
It was sitting on all four tires. The front end was smashed in on the passenger side pretty bad.
And was his driver's side window, was it down or up or broken?
It was broken or down, one of the two.
Whenever you went over there, what was the condition of that driver?
Well, he was laid over on the passenger seat, and he wasn't moving, and he wasn't all covered in blood.
He was
or nothing like that.
You said he was laid over on the passenger seat?
Yeah, like over this. He was sitting in the driver's seat, but he's like laid over on the passenger side.
At this point, whenever you're assessing this guy, was anybody else there yet?
One of the passenger in a Jeep that had been following him, or that was behind him, they were just starting to get over to the car by then.
They were just getting over?
Yeah.
So did you have a short minute or maybe a half a minute with this guy alone while you assessed him and see what was wrong?
Yeah, I touched him and checked for a pulse.
Did you say anything to him?
And yeah, I said, "Hey man, are you all right?" Like, oh fuck, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're all right.
Did he respond?
No.
How did that make you feel? Not now. I'm not talking about now, but in that moment, because you probably knew that you were the one that crossed over the center line. You were the one that caused him to be in the condition that he was in. At that very moment, What did you feel like?
I got kicked in the stomach. I was scared to death. So I figured I killed this dude.
Did you start to worry that maybe you had meth in your system and that would come back on you?
No, that didn't even cross my mind.
So in your mind, all you did was just a traffic mistake that caused a big accident, but nothing else connected to it?
Not at the time. No, I didn't.
So was the guy, was the victim in your case, was he moaning or saying anything, or was he completely out whenever you went over there and checked his pulse?
He was completely out.
Did you feel a pulse?
No, I didn't.
What did you do after you realized that he was actually passed? He died.
Try to get them other two people that come out of that car behind him to get him help. Try to get an ambulance coming.
So the other people, they came and basically started assessing the situation with you? Yeah.
There was a woman, and she was a nurse, and she went over to dude in the car, and then right after she checked him out, she came over to me and tried to get me to calm down.
What did the nurse say about the victim in the case? Did she say anything like he's gone, or what did she say?
She was just worried about me. She said not to worry about him. She was trying to get me looked at. I had blood covering my face, a couple cuts on my head.
Yeah.
And I was freaking out.
Were you pretty upset out there?
Yeah. I was very upset.
I bet that was a really big deal. I couldn't imagine. So now there's some other people providing assistance, and you're probably really dazed from the wreck. Not alone the instance of somebody dying, but also the impact. How long after that, if you can remember, did either ambulance and or police show up?
I couldn't give you a time frame, but it wasn't very long. 10 or 15 minutes probably.
And did they take you to the hospital, how did that work? Did the police automatically question you?
When the police got there before the paramedics, and they started asking me what happened.
And then you explain everything like you just explained to me?
Yeah.
You just basically said you made a mistake, you dropped something, like a traffic violation ended up being the death of somebody, basically.
Yeah. I told them what had happened.
Did they want you to go to the hospital? Did you opt out, or how'd that work?
No, they wanted me to get checked out, so they loaded me up in an ambulance and took me up to the hospital in St. Louis.
Did the police accompany you?
No, they sent a trooper there after I got there to question me again. I don't know. I know they took some blood, but they had given me fentanyl in the ambulance, and so I was just out of it. It comes and goes. I don't know if it was just from the fentanyl they gave me or from like the trauma, but it's bits and pieces of being at the hospital. Like getting there, I don't remember bits and pieces.
So they gave you some fentanyl, which basically made the pain go away and made you really woozy, probably?
Yeah.
Anthony describes his state of shock after emerging from the wreck. The rest of that day was a blur, punctuated by a few snapshots that stand out in Anthony's memory. The flash of ambulance lights, the questions asked by the state trooper. En route to Mercy Hospital, the paramedics administered fentanyl, which left him dazed. Cutting through that mental confusion was the certainty of one sobering fact. Anthony had killed the driver in the Ford Fiesta. As he later discovered, the car crash victim was actually somebody Anthony knew. Daniel French was a 30-year-old local from the Pacific area. A newlywed and father to two young boys, Daniel worked for Big Boys, a towing truck company in Missouri, and he had been on his way home from a work call when the car crash had taken place. Like Anthony, Daniel hadn't been wearing a seatbelt that day, but he didn't get the lucky break Anthony did that day. When first responders arrived at 2:36 p.m., Daniel was officially declared dead. Now the attention shifted to the survivor of the crash. Anthony faced the scrutiny of the police and the hostility of the victim's family, who sought to hold him responsible for Daniel's death. How did the law deal with Anthony Frenzel? We'll find that out on the next episode of Voices of a Killer. If you want to find out what happens next, right now, you can sign up at patreon.com/voicesofakiller. There you can find bonus content, early access, ad-free listening, and access to our chat community. So go to patreon.com/voicesofakiller to sign up now. Your support is what keeps us passionate about bringing these stories to you.
A big shout out to Sonic Futures, who handled the production, audio editing, music licensing, and promotion of this podcast. If you want to hear more episodes like this one, make sure to visit our website at voicesofakiller.com. There you can find previous episodes, transcripts, and additional information about the podcast. Lastly, if you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Your feedback helps us improve and reach new listeners. Thank you for your support, and we can't wait to share more stories with you in the future. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Toby, and we'll see you next time on Voices of a Killer.